Hello, how are you? We are with Florence tonight. Gonna interview her a little bit more about her life. For those of you who have been following, I've been doing some set of interviews that are, I call them while in confinement. They are in French. I'm doing this in English because it goes a little bit faster. And really, they're not long interviews, but it's a series of interviews that I've done while we have been in confinement. I've done some with Maite and Pierre, and some with Florence, and it's all the connection of the family, the connection of me to the family. So now it moves a little bit more with Florence. The ones before, she talked a little bit about her school years, her high school, middle school, and now Florence, hello. A
Hello.
little bit more about your high school. So I know, I don't remember the name of the high school, but I also know that you can speak about how it works here. You know, the test that you take to
Oh,
go,
okay.
and then what university you went to, and
Okay,
so
so
on.
we talk about like
So
finishing high
yeah,
school
finishing high school and also
and
what
university and
university, how it works here, because you actually went to the university in the same town that,
yeah.
and the way that many times we do, I mean, unless we're in sports and all that, many times we go to other place for
Yeah,
university. In
people
Puerto
try to
Rico,
go
a lot of people
far.
stay pretty close also, but sometimes they go far also
Yeah.
within Puerto Rico, so to the other town.
Okay, so the high school was the same as the middle school for me because I think I explained that it was like one big thing. So you could start in sixth grade all the way. So
Mm-hmm.
and that's called like sixième, and it goes. So in French, the classes go backwards in numbers. So it's like sixième, cinquième, so sixth grade. Then the next year you're in fifth grade and fourth grade and third grade, and the lycée years are actually the last 3 years.
Lycée.
So seconde, like the second grade, and the first grade, and you call the last year is called terminal. It's like the terminal year, um,
Finishing.
which uh, it is kind of terminal. Like if you fail the exam, you're like not. You have to do it again. So but it is finished. Like once you do pass the exam, the baccalaureate, then you're done forever.
And it's called the baccalaureate.
So the baccalaureate. So yeah, the
Baccalaureate.
last 2 years of school, and this now is about. It's pretty similar to what I did. Now things have changed a little bit in France, where. So I'll talk about my time because it's simpler for now. So
Not that long ago.
it was last century. Um, so yeah, in the very last year is where you take all the tests in every subject apart from French, because in French we do it the year before, and it's we call that le bac français, and it's a 4 hour written test, and then a few minute like oral discussion with on texts that you've studied. So nowadays this still happens. There's still the French in the first in the year before last, but there's also other subjects that you can take which you won't take the following year. So for us, there was just the French one year and then everything else the following year. So
In comparison to, I know a little bit about it, and in comparison to what I know in the system in Puerto Rico, United States, I think it seems like this one is a little bit more stressful. This system here, because it's all depending on that progression and those tests, that baccalaureate test, and it's not that, like, I don't think there's a comparison of that over there for us. Um,
yeah, it's not
we
quite the
have
same.
the SAT and so on, but that is not equivalent in reality, because this one is one that is it, and you either make it to college or not, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Or
yeah, that's what opened doors to further education. If you don't have
yeah,
the baccalaureate, you can't
and
do
it's
that.
not just by points is what I'm saying. It's not just, okay, you get this, a combination with these grades and all that. It's like,
Yeah, so now in
and
my
you
days it was really just the exam, and then little by little this has changed, and nowadays there's a part of the grade of the baccalaureate that's also what you did during the year. Which I think is actually personally I think is pretty good, because everything was based on that one day, and literally if you're in the hospital that day, you have to retake the year.
The next
you don't
well,
even
it was,
you know
I
like,
mean, like
so,
I think it's, and I have to say, one of the things and difference that I've noticed, and I see the pressure on the people, because we know parents, right? We know some of the family and friends that have, she has, that they have teenagers, she has, and they, one time we were in a get together, and the parents were talking, and I could feel the because I understand the French, so I know I could feel the pressure, and the concern of this year and the back, and because it's that age, the kids have that age of what, and it is a real concern, because it seems like even when you go for a job, a lot of people say, oh, do you have the back? And it's meaning like, it's like, do you have your high school
yeah, it's like the
diploma?
equivalent of
It's
the
just
school
that
diploma.
is I guess it's challenging enough that it gives to employers and all that a good idea of what you've done, I guess.
Well, it's more that if you have the back, you will carry on with further education.
So that's
And if you only have the back, any jobs will be just very minimal wages and not. It's different. Before that, there's other exams that are actually better than trying to keep going in school and not actually managing to pass the back if you're not very academic. And France has a very good system for that, where they kind of it's called orienté. I'm trying.
It's kind of like vocational school.
Yeah,
it's like vocational school. It's just start a little bit
it starts
earlier.
Younger already when you're like 13 or 14, where you're in like the equivalent of the 7th grade. You can already start doing something else where you're going to learn. You do minimum studying of general knowledge, and minimum math and stuff, like things are more useful, and then you learn a skill, and you take different exams, and there's different levels of that. For people who don't want to go on to further education.
Yeah. So my thing is, I hope this back, the back thing is something that I see, and I wanted to add that because of the confinement, because of the situation of the COVID, it has been very challenging for France, for what I've seen in the news and all that. They're back last year, and then it's right now so far. I think this year they're gonna have to do some adjustment too, because again, this is a national test, right?
Yeah.
It's a national test, so just picture it's the same day.
Yeah, everybody takes the exams the same day. It's just like
all these high schoolers going to all these, big places to take these tests,
And you don't necessarily stay in your school. Like
you have to go to wherever.
Each institute or its establishment in
it's like the SAT, right? But there's a little bit of more pressure in the kids, because they have to be and it's national, so it's not like you can say, well, the SAT you could take it this day, and then you have a few more options.
There's plenty
here
of
it's
options
like one time. I think they're changing, but so far I've seen that it's one time, and it's
the test is. I mean, I don't think there's plans of changing that. There's only one
date. It's one of these that is in the news and everything, and sometimes they're I don't know.
It's philosophy. It's the one that makes the news normally.
Okay, so in the news and everything is very interesting that the education part here. It is my take. I don't know, for people maybe it's just it's the same, but I think it's a little bit different. And also I see the kids going to school and so on, and the system it seems a little bit different than over there, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think one of the big things that there's the exam, but also at school in general, there's a lot of, in my opinion, and from what I've lived and from what I still see now, there's a lot less, extracurricular and like fun stuff. Like it's much more academic. Like you go to school, you go to your classes, and there isn't events, and there's no other
Yeah, it's
activities,
very
and there's no
straight.
interruption of the classes because there's a team that won something, or like that just would not happen
Yeah,
in France.
it is
It's
different.
it's way more focused on the work, and then there are extracurricular activities, but you do that's extra, that's out of school, and then there's activities that you can do at school too, but they don't normally interrupt the flow of the school.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I interrupted a little bit there with the heater. I wanted what one because
We want to talk about university.
the university. So you went now the university.
Yeah,
and
so
let's talk a little
so when I say the baccalaureate is important, it's kind of a door to university, and once you have the baccalaureate, you can basically register in any university that you want to. I think things are changing a little bit now. You can't just go randomly anywhere. I think in my time it was really quite random. Like even if you had bad grades in something, in the baccalaureate, you could just go to that university.
based on the subject though.
But based on the subject, because there's no selection at the beginning, or what the selection is whether you pass the baccalaureate or not, and then you're allowed to register to university, which is actually very cheap. Maybe we can do a whole episode on just the cost, because that's a different ball game. But there's also other things. But for me, I'm going to talk about what I did, and if you live in a fairly big city, any sort of like normal sized city, not a little town, but a city, I think my city had something like 300,000 inhabitants, so it's not huge at all by any means, but it had a university. So if you live in that kind of city, you normally stay there because the courses that you're looking for should be offered. So what happens is that most kids will stay at home with their parents. If you live in a little village a little bit further away, you will go to the nearest city, and sometimes then you have to find a flat or some kind of roommate arrangement, or there's a few dorms with the university, but normally these are only for people who have scholarships. So people who normally have less money and can't afford to just go and rent a studio or a flat with several people in the rest of the town. So that's normally what happens. And then I stayed in Clermont for my entire, like, the 3 years of my first degree, because the first degree is 3 years here. And then because I was studying English, then I did a year out in England. And
what is, and we didn't even talk, what is that you study? What is your subject?
I studied English, like culture, literature, and language English.
For
basically.
education, I guess.
Well, it wasn't even, that came afterwards. I just studied English.
She studied English. For those who don't know, Florence has been a teacher. She's a teacher.
Right. Yeah. The teaching came after when I went to England.
Teaching, but.
So, but I don't know if you want me to talk about that.
No, it's okay. This is good.
Staying in Clermont. Okay, all right. So yeah, my town was Clermont-Ferrand, in the center of France.
All right.
And
well,
that's where I went.
I'm gonna stop here because we have other things, and it's a longer video than I thought. But thank you so much.
Oh no, I have to say, my university was Blaise Pascal, and Pascal is a very known French philosopher that
that's what I wanted to know.
A lot of people maybe know. Like the name of the name of university is really Clermont, Clermont 1 and 2, but my part was called Université Blaise Pascal.
Okay, your school, because this is literature, this philosophy.
It was just languages.
Languages.
It was part of language, but that part of the university was called Blaise Pascal.
Yeah,
by the philosopher. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao.